James and Lisa step out of their car. The night air is cool, but they don't mind. Lisa smiles at James. "This place looks nice," she says. James nods. "Yeah, I heard great things about it." They walk toward the restaurant entrance. The lights inside are warm and inviting. Through the glass doors, they see well-dressed guests enjoying their meals. Lisa adjusts her dress. She's excited. This is a special night. James opens the door for her, and they step inside. The restaurant is busy but not full. Several empty tables are visible. The atmosphere is elegant. Soft music plays in the background. A young hostess stands behind the podium. She looks up as they approach. Her smile fades. James clears his throat. "Hi, we'd like a table for two." The hostess hesitates. She looks them up and down. "We're fully booked tonight," she says. Her voice is flat. Lisa glances around. Empty tables are everywhere. James frowns. "Oh, really?" The hostess nods, gripping the podium. "Yes, sorry." Lisa looks at James. He presses his lips together. Something feels off. James tries again. "Can we wait for a table to open up?" The hostess doesn't smile. "There won't be any available tonight." Lisa shifts uncomfortably. At that moment, the door opens behind them. A white couple steps inside. The hostess brightens immediately. "Good evening. Right this way." James and Lisa watch in silence as the couple is led to a table. Lisa exhales slowly. James clenches his jaw. They understand what just happened. James takes a deep breath. He forces himself to stay calm. Lisa grips his arm. She can feel the tension in his body. James turns back to the hostess. "Excuse me," he says, keeping his voice steady. "You just said there were no tables." The hostess doesn't look at him. She flips through a reservation book. "That's correct," she says. Lisa glances around. More empty tables. The couple that just walked in is already seated. James gestures toward the room. "Then how did they get a table?" The hostess sighs. "They had a reservation." James raises an eyebrow. "So every single one of these empty tables is reserved?" The hostess nods quickly. "Yes." Lisa shifts her weight. Her stomach twists. This feels wrong. A waiter passes by, carrying a tray of drinks. He glances at them, his eyes darting toward the hostess. His face is tense, but he keeps walking. James exhales sharply. "Okay. Can we make a reservation for later tonight?" The hostess' lips press into a thin line. "We're completely booked." Lisa's fingers dig into James's arm. "Maybe we should just go," she whispers. James shakes his head. "No," he says quietly. He turns back to the hostess. "I'd like to speak to the manager." The hostess crosses her arms. "He's not available." James holds her gaze. "When will he be available?" The hostess shrugs. "I don't know." Lisa's heart pounds. The room feels smaller. A few nearby customers start noticing. A couple at the bar whispers to each other. A woman at a nearby table frowns. A waiter near the kitchen hesitates, glancing at them before walking away. James swallows his frustration. "So what you're saying is," he says slowly, "we can't get a table, we can't make a reservation, and we can't speak to the manager." The hostess doesn't respond. Lisa tugs on James's sleeve. James, his fists clench, but he doesn't yell. He doesn't cause a scene. He just stands there, staring at the hostess. And then, very slowly, he reaches into his pocket. Lisa watches as he pulls out his phone. The hostess shifts uncomfortably. A murmur spreads through the restaurant. Lisa's pulse quickens. Something is about to happen. James unlocks his phone. His hands are steady, but his mind is racing. The hostess watches him carefully. Her expression hardens. Lisa's voice is low. "What are you doing?" James doesn't answer. He opens the camera. A soft murmur spreads through the restaurant. Nearby diners glance their way. A few whisper to each other. The hostess straightens. "Sir, you can't record in here." James tilts his head. "Why not?" Her lips tighten. "It's restaurant policy." James keeps his voice even. "Is that written somewhere?" The hostess hesitates. "It's just not allowed." Lisa glances around. More people are watching. A waiter near the bar shifts nervously. The couple at the bar leans in, listening. James doesn't lower his phone. "I'd still like to speak to the manager." The hostess crosses her arms. "I already told you." A deep voice interrupts. "What's going on here?" Silence spreads. The tension thickens. A man steps forward. Tall, confident, well-dressed. The restaurant owner. The hostess stiffens. She turns toward him quickly. "Nothing, sir. I was just explaining that we're fully booked." The owner's eyes move to James and Lisa. His gaze is sharp, assessing. James holds his phone steady. "Is that true?" The owner glances at the empty tables, then back at the hostess. His expression darkens. Lisa watches his face carefully. He already knows the truth. The owner steps forward, his voice is firm but calm. Sir, ma'am, may I ask what happened? James lowers his phone, but he doesn't put it away. Your hostess told us there were no tables available. The owner's brow furrows. He looks at the hostess. Is that right? The hostess swallows hard. Yes, sir. We're completely booked. The owner glances around, his eyes scan the half-empty restaurant. Several diners are watching in silence. He turns back to James. And yet, you're still here? James nods. Because right after she told us that, she seated another couple. The owner's jaw tightens. He looks at the hostess again. Did you seat other guests? The hostess's fingers grip the podium. They had a reservation. James folds his arms. Can we see the reservation list? Lisa holds her breath. The hostess hesitates. The owner exhales slowly, his voice drops. Well? The hostess stammers. I mean, they might have been walk-ins, but... The owner shakes his head. That's enough. The restaurant is silent. The tension is thick. The owner takes a deep breath, then turns back to James and Lisa. I sincerely apologize. This is unacceptable. Lisa feels a lump in her throat. The owner gestures toward the dining area. Please, allow me to seat you personally. The hostess's face goes pale. James hesitates. He and Lisa exchange a glance. The owner's voice is steady. I insist. A waiter quickly approaches, wiping down a table near the window. The owner steps aside and motions toward the seats. James nods slowly. Lisa swallows hard and follows. As they sit down, the owner turns back to the hostess. His expression is unreadable. Wait for me in my office, he says. The hostess doesn't move. The owner's voice sharpens. Now. Her hands tremble as she walks away. Lisa exhales. The weight in her chest loosens slightly, but James still looks cautious. The owner turns to a waiter. Make sure they receive the best service tonight. The waiter nods quickly and hurries off. Lisa runs a hand over the tablecloth. Her fingers still feel tense. The owner faces them again. I apologize for what just happened. I can assure you this is not how we run things here. James leans forward slightly. Then why did it happen? The owner's expression darkens. He glances toward the back where the hostess disappeared. Lisa watches his face. He looks disappointed. Finally, he sighs. Because sometimes, people make decisions that don't align with our values. James studies him carefully. And what are your values? The owner doesn't hesitate. Respect, fairness, hospitality. Lisa exhales. She wants to believe him. The owner straightens. I'll be handling this situation personally. Lisa glances toward the back. What will happen to her? The owner doesn't answer right away. His face is serious. That depends. James tilts his head. On what? The owner crosses his arms. On whether she understands the gravity of what she's done. Silence stretches between them. Lisa shifts in her chair. She doesn't know how to feel. The owner clears his throat. For now, please enjoy your evening. Your meal is on the house. James studies him for a moment, then nods. A different waiter appears with a warm smile. Can I get you started with some drinks? Lisa forces a small smile. Water is fine for now. James nods. Same here. The waiter walks away. Lisa takes a deep breath. The tension in the air is still there, but it's shifting. The owner watches them for a moment before stepping back. Lisa presses her hands together. James sits back in his chair, his jaw is still tight. Lisa knows this night isn't over yet. The restaurant settles, but the tension lingers. James and Lisa sit quietly, their emotions still raw. Lisa watches as the owner disappears into the back. She knows he's going to talk to the hostess. James picks up his water glass but doesn't drink. His fingers tap lightly against the table. Across the room, a woman whispers to her husband. Another guest shakes his head, clearly disturbed by what happened. A waiter moves quickly, placing fresh bread on their table. His voice is soft. If you need anything, just let me know. Lisa forces a small smile. Thank you. The waiter hesitates. I just want to say I'm sorry. I saw what happened. James looks up. Did you know she was doing that? The waiter swallows. I had a feeling, but I didn't think she'd be so obvious about it. Lisa studies his face. He looks genuinely upset. Before anyone can say more, the owner returns. His face is unreadable. Lisa straightens. James folds his arms. Well? The owner exhales. She's been dismissed for the night. We'll be discussing her future here tomorrow. Lisa's stomach turns. James nods slowly. Good. The owner pauses, then speaks again. If you have any concerns, please let me know. Lisa presses her lips together. She doesn't know what else to say. The owner nods once before stepping away. Lisa looks at James. His expression is still tense. The mood in the restaurant shifts. Lisa feels eyes on them. Some customers nod at them in quiet support. Others seem embarrassed, looking away. James sighs. I just wanted a nice dinner. Lisa reaches for his hand. I know. The waiter returns with their drinks. Your appetizers will be out soon. His smile is genuine. I'll make sure you have the best experience. Lisa appreciates his kindness. James takes a sip of water. His shoulders relax slightly. Across the room, the older woman who had noticed earlier catches Lisa's eye. She gives a small nod of approval. Lisa nods back. The waiter brings their appetizers. The food looks delicious, but Lisa still feels a weight on her chest. James picks up his fork. Let's eat. Lisa hesitates, then follows his lead. The night isn't what they expected, but they're here now. They might as well enjoy their meal. The hostess never returns. Lisa catches glimpses of staff whispering in the back. The tension is still there but fading. James focuses on his food, but Lisa can tell his mind is elsewhere. What are you thinking? She asks. James sighs. I wonder if she'll learn from this. Lisa doesn't know the answer. A waiter refills their glasses. Is everything okay? James nods. Yeah. Thanks. Lisa looks toward the back of the restaurant. The owner is speaking to some of the staff. A part of her wonders what will happen to the hostess. Will she be fired? Will she change? She doesn't know, and maybe she never will. The restaurant continues as if nothing happened. But for James and Lisa, this night won't be forgotten.